everybody. This is Mary Nolan again with another episode of Connecting Through Stories with New Hampshire Humanities. If you'd like to learn more about our Connections Adult Literacy and Skills program, as well as receive lesson plans and activities, please click the link in the description below. I wanted to share with you a picture of my grandparents. These two people had a tremendous impact on my life growing up. I was at their house almost every weekend as a child, and some of my fondest childhood memories are with them. And that's why I chose the story, Grandfather's Journey by Alan Say. Grandfather's Journey is written from the perspective of the grandchild who tells the story of his grandfather traveling from Japan to America and back to Japan again in the early to mid 1900s. The story shows the powerful impact that grandparents can have on their grandchildren, as well as the complexities that surround the ideas of what makes a place our home. What is your family's background? What countries can you trace your family's ancestry back to? What is your journey? Has a family member made a positive impact on your life? If so, how? Has traveling to a new place changed your life in some way? And finally, what makes a place your home? Grandfather's Journey, written and illustrated by Alan Say. My grandfather was a young man when he left his home in Japan and went to see the world. He wore European clothes for the first time and began his journey on a steamship. The Pacific Ocean astonished him. For 3 weeks, he did not see land. When land finally appeared, it was the New World. He explored North America by train and riverboat and often walked for days on end. Deserts with rocks like enormous sculptures amazed him. The endless farm fields reminded him of the ocean he had crossed. Huge cities of factories and tall buildings bewildered and yet excited him. He marveled at the towering mountains and the rivers as clear as the sky. He met many people along the way. He shook hands with black men and white men, with yellow men and red men. The more he traveled, the more he longed to see new places, and never thought of returning home. Of all the places he visited, he liked California best. He loved the strong sunlight there, the Sierra Mountains, and the lonely seacoast. After a time, he returned to his village in Japan to marry his childhood sweetheart. Then he brought his bride to the new country. They made their home by San Francisco Bay and had a baby girl. As his daughter grew, my grandfather began to think about his own childhood. He thought about his old friends. He remembered the mountains and rivers of his home. He surrounded himself with songbirds, but he could not forget. Finally, when his daughter was nearly grown, he could wait no more. He took his family and returned to his homeland. Once again, he saw the mountains and rivers of his childhood. They were just as he had remembered them. Once again, he exchanged stories and laughed with his old friends. But the village was not a place for a daughter from San Francisco. So my grandfather bought a house in a large city nearby. There, the young woman fell in love, married, and sometime later I was born. When I was a small boy, my favorite weekend was to visit my grandfather's house. He told me many stories about California. He raised warblers and silver eyes, but he could not forget the mountains and rivers of California. So he planned a trip. But a war began. Bombs fell from the sky and scattered our lives like leaves in a storm. When the war ended, there was nothing left of the city and of the house where my grandparents had lived. So they returned to the village where they had been children, but my grandfather never kept another songbird. The last time I saw him, my grandfather said that he longed to see California one more time. He never did. And when I was nearly grown, I left home and went to see California for myself. After a time, I came to love the land my grandfather had loved, and I stayed on until I had a daughter of my own. But I also miss the mountains and rivers of my childhood. I miss my old friends, so I return now and then when I cannot still the longing in my heart. The funny thing is, the moment I am in one country, I am homesick for the other. Thank you so much for listening. I want to encourage you to share your life journeys and memories with each other, especially those in your family. Take pictures, write down memories, record stories. As always, we'd love to have you join in our conversation. Please feel free to comment below in response to any of the questions that I posed, to share any of your memories, or to give suggestions for future readings or books you'd like to see in a future episode. Finally, if you're able, please consider supporting our Connections Adult Literacy and Skills program so we can continue doing our work across the state of New Hampshire. Thank you. See you next time.